And I know Dean was excited about this one because he sent me some information before we even started the show. So that's why I kind of want to start with Dean on this one. Dean, if you want to go first, do you typically buy the deluxe or premium version? Because we could talk about this Aragorn, we could talk about statues, we could talk about Hot Toys. I think there's something to be said, Dean, about buying the deluxe version in most cases because they tend to hold their value a little bit better. So for whatever reason you need to move on from a figure at some point, then you can do that. For me, I had a lot of messages for this specific Aragorn. People asking, should I get the rooted hair? I'm worried about rooted hair. I'm like, guys, buy nice or buy twice. That's the rule. And I tend to believe that. And I think that InArt rooted hair is not the same as Hot Toys. It's not going to act the same. It's not going to look the same. I think it's going to be far superior, in my opinion, just based on what their statues are like. So that's what I'll say. That said, buying the deluxe, it's an interesting conversation. What do you think, Dean? Do you typically buy the deluxe or recommend people buy the deluxe or premium versions?
Yeah, I think it depends on what exactly you're buying. I think in terms of statues, always just spring for the deluxe. Especially with statues, the price increase is usually maybe like $100 to $200 more. And when you're spending $2,000, that's really not that much more. So, yeah, for me, I usually spring for the deluxe. Now, when it comes to a figure like this Mando you just pulled up,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could go either way. Because if you don't buy the deluxe and you really want one of the accessories, you could just buy the accessory for, 20-40 bucks second hand, whether it's eBay or Toy Anxiety or wherever. Or if you do buy the deluxe and you don't care for the accessories, you make some money back, sell that stuff for, 40 bucks. So I always think it's better to buy the deluxe. Spring for the little extra, as long as it's not a base. A lot of the Spider-Mans we're seeing, it's just a base.
Right.
And it's like, I guess, but I really don't use bases in my display anyway. I guess maybe if they're cool looking, like with the Doc Ock arms, that's one thing. But if it's actual tangible accessories, I say or head sculpts, go for the deluxe. If it's just a base, just save the money.
Yeah, and I get what you mean. And Leo, I brought this one up because I know you and I have been thinking the same on this figure. We've been thinking about not getting the deluxe because it's just Boba Fett parts, right?
Yeah.
But typically I tend to be more of a deluxe guy. Where do you fall on this, Leo? Because I'm conflicted on
Yeah.
this one.
Well, for this version, because me particularly, I don't need the accessories. I mean, I didn't need the additional accessories. All I mainly wanted was the head sculpt, the dark saber, the spear. That's it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
knowing that you can actually get that with the regular version, for me, I'm fine with it. I don't need all the excess accessories because for this, I know I'm not going to use it. I think it just depends on what you're going to use, what you're going to need it for. I don't have the speeder bike. I have no plans on getting that bike. All I wanted was mainly just the figure, the head sculpt, so on. So for this, I just went with the regular version and I passed on the deluxe because I don't need it personally. I think it comes down to personal preferences and personal choice, what you need it for. When it comes to this, though, when you're looking at the rooted versus the sculpted, I mean, they both, like, literally, I had a hard time telling the difference between at some point. You know what I mean? Because they both look good. I think if you want to go all in on the deluxe version of it, that's completely fine. If you choose to get the sculpted, I think both. What I'm looking at, it's not the hair more so, it's just the head sculpt, and I just think it looks phenomenal. I mean, just the expression, the head sculpt in general, without really paying so much attention on whether it's sculpted or whether it's rooted. Because I think you're gonna win either way. If I had to lean more towards it when it comes to this particular figure, I would probably say rooted, because of the simple fact that, I mean, you're getting the most realistic version of this figure. It's like a shrunken down Viggo Mortensen. So it definitely makes sense to do that versus just, a sculpted hair version. But I'm saying that to also say that if you choose to go sculpted, it's still a win-win because you're getting an excellent piece. Plain and simple.
I'm with you, bro. And Leo, it is a win-win for sure, bro. I mean, because one of the things I guess that I believe, and this is interesting because everyone's going to be different how they fall on this, but I would say that one of the rules I put in my Hot Toys beginner's guide, actually, that I just put out was buy the best that you can reasonably afford. So if you think that, Aragorn is within your reach here at $470 compared to $335, to spend a little bit of extra money to get the rooted, I just feel like it's a far superior figure. Like the sculpted one looks great, no doubt about it, but I feel like you're settling when you could not be settling, and maybe you could have one less figure, save a little bit more money, and get this one. So that's what that's just how I tend to view it. Again, none of us are rich here, trust me. But I'm saying at the end of the day, like if you can prioritize a little bit and get the best that you can reasonably afford, at the end of the day, you're going to be happier, because what might happen, like I think like Dean referenced, maybe you get the sculpted and you see all these people that got rooted and you're like, damn, now I got to go buy the rooted one. And that's the rule of buy nice or buy twice, where you could have just bought the nice one to start with, but now you're buying it twice. So,
good point.
But again, the sculpted one looks great, and I think the people who got the sculpted Joker are going to be happy too. I just think when you have the sculpted Joker and then you look at the rooted Joker, it's just like, man, like there's a difference, right? And I think they're going to nail it here. But Ben, where do you kind of fall on this one, man?
It depends on the figure, and it depends on what the deluxe versus the premium like really comes with, or the standard versus deluxe. So a good example of that, the Doc Brown I got recently. I got the deluxe because I wanted that plutonium case. I feel like for that figure, that suit that he's wearing, like it needed the plutonium case standing next to him.
Bro,
You disagree?
Will you see who's in there?
No, I know Ben. He see Toya in the chat. Toya's in the chat trying to egg Leo on. He needs this Aragorn, bro. He's gonna need Gandalf soon.
You're gonna order it by the end of the stream.
He's gonna.
Leo,
He's got the code. I mean, I got the code. So if you need
not
it. But.
not to drag Ben through the mud, but bro, if you're paying extra for cardboard, bro.
Hey now. But then you look at some of the Star Wars Deluxe features, and they come with like a plastic hologram, which would likely stay in the box. Which would likely stay in the box for me as well.
That's true.
But then I look at some of the like the InArt figures, for example. So I've got the Batman on order from InArt, but I chose like the standard edition sculpted hair version of his head sculpt, because for me, that Batman is going to stand in my collection with his cowl on, likely not the Robert Pattinson face. So I'm okay with the standard version because it gives me everything I want out of the display that I'm going to use that figure for with that standard. So I think I agree with you, buy nice or buy twice. I love that saying because I think that's 100% accurate. On the other hand, those little extra bits of dollars do start to add up slowly over time, especially if it's for accessories that are going to sit in your storage room and not be on display. If it's just going to sit in the box, I would save the money and then put that towards another figure, because there's a lot of stuff that I want right now. There's a lot of cool things out there. It's a good time to be a collector. I need all the money that I can get for all of the things that I want. So I have to be pretty strategic about what I buy. I think the only caveat to that would be if I bought a figure and thought that there's a good chance that I might sell it down the line. Oftentimes the deluxe version has a better resale value. Right now resale values aren't very good, but at least traditionally when it comes to 6-scale marketplace, the deluxe sells for more, even if it's literally just a plastic hologram sitting in the box. That word deluxe does play into that. I don't typically sell the figures that I get. Once it's in the collection, I intend to keep it. So that doesn't play a factor for me, but I gotta recognize there's lots of different types of collectors out there.
Well, deluxe is kind of like a buzzword. It's kind of like organic food, right? 100%. That's the example I always give. You see organic, you're like, oh shit, I want that. And you'll pay a little bit more for it, right? It's like same with the deluxe. But you are right, Ben, like when you go to sell something later, say something comes up, like Dean said, you have a hospital, visit or something, right? That Venom exclusive with the tiny little Venom head was going for a hell of a lot more with that version compared to just a regular version. So it's crazy what people will pay for. So deluxe, people just
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it came with a little churro. That was it.
Man,
like, and
crazy.
it's just people will want that, and if it doesn't have the churro, they're like, nah, I don't want it. It's like they're not gonna use the churro. So Riley might, Carlos might, but that's about it. But it's interesting. That's why deluxe is always an interesting conundrum. I feel like it's very tough one, but it's dependent upon the figure, no doubt about it.